I'm Scott Jones from the Fantastic League of Wrestling. You, me, all of us. We're drinking at Moe's.
Hell yeah.
This is Drinkin at Demos, where we talk about the pros of pro wrestling in the Midwest while sipping on some brews with blessed beers and wrestling. That's my scene. Death matches and lucha libre, it's all so mean. I'm a straight up smart goofball, not no kiss ass. I stand tall when it comes to wrestling. I'm the king. I know every move, every fling. Get ready for a wild time with Drinkin at Moe's, where we don't quit. Drinkin at Moe's, that's where it's at, like a power bomb. We hit hard, never flat. Fucking right, we're living the dream. Talking about wrestling, oh it's a scream.
You know, I've always said here at Drinkinatmos, just because it says drinking at Moe's does not mean it has to be alcoholic. So I'm happy to say Drinking at Moe's is sponsored by Prince Nana Coffee. The exact same guy you see every week on Dynamite, on Collision. Yes, he has his own coffee and it's freaking delicious. They don't even roast those beans until you've placed your order. And you might be telling me, hey, Big Mo, I'm more of a tea guy. They got you covered there too. Use the referral link in the description of this video. And let's get you dancing like Prince Nana with Prince Nana Coffee. All right, everybody. Welcome. Drinking a Mo's Big Mo here. You know the drill by now. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Because YouTube's algorithm is a pain in the ass. Yes, I said it. Today, I'm excited to have with me another part of the Fantastic League of Wrestling series that we are doing, being official podcast partner for the promotion. Scott Jones, how you doing?
I'm here. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, I'm digging the background.
Yeah, I had to go with the whole Northern Lights thing. Being from Seattle and spending a little bit of time in Alaska. I saw family in Alaska, although I don't ever remember meeting them. It's a long,
Oh,
complicated story.
one of those. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get you there.
But growing up in Seattle, up in the mountains,
Mm.
seeing the Northern Lights was pretty common. Like actually to the point where I actually got a tattoo of the Cascade Mountain Range with the coordinates from where I grew up.
Nice. When my wife and I got married, we were trying to figure out where we wanted to go on our honeymoon. We wanted to try some place that neither of us had been to. And for me, that at least out west, that's doesn't leave much. But we ended up settling on an Alaskan cruise that left out of Seattle. And I kid you not, the only two states on the western half of the United States that I hadn't been to before that point was Washington and Alaska. Now I've literally been to the entire western half of the United States.
So actually, if you ever wanted to do that again, what I would suggest, like my recommendation, get a rental car, drive from Seattle to Bellingham. It's about 3 hours north. It's near the Canadian border. They have a ferry that goes from there to Alaska as well, but you could drive onto the ferry and drive off in Alaska. So then you're not limited. You could go wherever you want.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so like your car will be on the bottom deck, and you can actually get a stateroom with beds and bathroom and all that stuff, and then they've got the restaurant on there just like the one you were on. But I mean, literally, it's like, oh, well, we're pulling into Homer. Like, oh, let's get off. You get in your car, you drive off, do whatever you want.
Nice. That's an idea I hadn't thought of. Wow, definitely something to think about. So the first question I like to lead off with everybody with on their first time on the show, what got you started as a fan, and then what got you making the leap into the business?
All right, so this this might be a little long-winded, so I apologize in advance.
Nah.
So my father was the biggest wrestling fan I'd ever met my entire life. Like he idolized Roddy Piper, Stan Hansen, a lot of those guys. Um, I was born in 87, 2 months after WrestleMania 3.
I
And
was born in 83.
Oh gosh. So what was Abe Lincoln like? No, joking. So, um, like my earliest memories, my very first memories that I can recall was sitting and watching, you know, WCW with my dad, or like, World Class or Mid Atlantic. Like he watched it all. Like he wasn't like just a one promotion guy. If
Yeah,
there was wrestling, he was about it.
much
To the
like I
point,
am right now.
no, to the point to where, like, I know you're getting ready to take your young one to their first show. My first show was WrestleMania 4.
Damn it.
So, my
I've
dad
yet to
actually,
ever go to any WrestleMania, any pay-per-view, PLE, whatever the hell you want to call it.
well,
I've yet to go to any.
I've been to WrestleMania 4, WrestleMania 19, and WrestleMania 35. Um,
Damn it.
but my father for years actually had a picture of Macho Man Randy Savage holding me like as a baby. And of course, like I'm less than a year old. I don't remember the show at all. Like obviously watching it back, like we know how iconic it was. But we were living in New Jersey at the time. So it was only like 45-minute drive from the house. So
Yeah.
it was like, why not? Like heck, I would have done the same thing.
Oh,
Um,
totally.
but like I just always felt like wrestling was in my blood. Like I've told people I firmly believe that professional wrestling is what put me on the planet. Um, so then I ended up going into foster care when my parents separated and divorced. And I don't want to get too inside baseball because I don't want to depress the living shit out of everyone. Um,
Yeah.
so I went through some pretty extreme abuse. Um, my stepfather was trying to unalive me. I'll just say
Mm,
that. Try to keep it YouTube friendly.
yeah.
So I went into foster care, but like wrestling was always still like a big part of me. But while I was going through all of that, wrestling was my escape. Like every memory I have from wrestling was always associated with something else happening in my life personally. Like when Stone Cold Steve Austin broke his neck on that botched pile driver. That day I was in the hospital with a broken arm.
Huh.
The pay-per-view where Owen Hart died, that was on my birthday.
I almost went to that one. My dad was about to get me tickets because I was begging to go, and then it had sold out. So I was like, well, crap. And then everything that happened with, I'm like, oh boy,
Yeah. But
maybe I should be glad I wasn't there.
yeah, really. But then growing up in foster care, a lot of my foster homes and the group homes that I was in, and there was times like, and this is Washington State in the 90s and the early 2000s. Um, the system out there, well, it still is. It's still broken everywhere. I've been a big advocate for, foster care, and
Okay.
how they need to do better. Um, there wasn't enough homes. So there was actually times I was put in juvenile detention for, sometimes weeks at a time just because it was a bed and they had nowhere to put me. But through that whole time, like I was still always seeking out wrestling, and like, I was still doing the tape trading and the magazine trading, and like I was still collecting the cards, and I would watch it when I could, but like I had to sneak watching it because they're like, oh no, you can't watch it. It's too violent. I'm like, it's only violent if you make it violent. Like, if you're one of those, kids out there is like, oh, I just saw this kid or this guy get pedigreed on TV. I'm gonna go to school the next day and do the same thing to my friends at the lunchroom table. Like, no, I was never like that. Um, so then one summer while I was in foster care, my social worker had brought a piece of paper to me, and it was a nonprofit who had reached out to them, and they were trying to like make certain wishes come through for kids. And it was like at the beginning of the summer. They're like, "What do you want to do this summer?" And I wrote this. It had to have been a 4, 5, 6 page essay, whatever it was, about how I wanted to become a professional wrestler. So I wrote it. I waited 2 weeks, and then my social worker called the group home I was at. She was like, "Hey, guess what? You got picked. You get to go train in Everett, starting, whatever day it was." And I'm like, Mother of God.
Mhm.
Like it's happening. It's happening. It's happening.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so my first bump, I legit crap myself.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Um, but then like just after that, like my first match when I made my debut was on my birthday in 2005.
Nice.
Um, yeah, so that was amazing. Then after I graduated high school, I joined the army. And
Ah,
everywhere
fellow veteran.
Yes, yes. So everywhere I went when I was in the army, between Fort Hood, Fort Bragg, I did a little bit in Camp Robinson in North Little Rock, Arkansas there. Um, I always would like try to take like little bookings on the side, and people are like, dude, like you get money from the army. Why are you doing this? I'm like, I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I love it. Like this is my passion. Like this is what I live for. This is the reason I like just ugh, it has it
Yeah.
has the biggest chunk of my heart, other than my kids. My
Yeah.
kids and professional wrestling, those are the two biggest things in my life. Um, and then I moved out to New Jersey, and people are like, dude, the New Jersey wrestling scene, I'm telling you, it's crazy. I'm like, I ain't worried about it. But the New Jersey wrestling scene is amazing. Like I've gotten to share locker rooms with some people I didn't have the business of being in the same room with, like Joe Gacy. Um,
Yeah.
I was working for a company that I won't name because the promoter was ousted
Ah,
as a diaper sniper.
yeah.
Um, so but we everybody who worked for him had cut ties immediately, um, me included. And so like I got to work with Joe Gacy during his last match, which was before he signed to the E, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, like I've met a lot of good people along the way, and some of those friends you might see on TV on a weekly basis. Um, and I've done some work in Massachusetts and Connecticut. I've ventured up into Vermont, New York City, obviously, and I've gotten to meet a lot of cool companies, like Wrestlers Lab, Battle Club Pro, the BBWF, which is like Eastern Pennsylvania, but still like they do a lot in New Jersey as well. Um, so yeah, like I just from a kid, like my dad planted the seed, and then it just grew from there, and now it's like it's something that will never leave me.
Oh yeah. No, I've been pretty much the same way. Although for me, it was my uncle, my late uncle, that got me started. And I'm really, besides me and one of my cousins, we're the only ones that really stuck with it. And I got my start watching independent wrestling a little bit later when I was stationed in San Diego, and the guy that ran the promotion, I've actually had him on the podcast before, but at the time, at least at the time that he started, he was actually in the Navy as well, and he ran the promotion there. And they actually, when he had to leave for deployment one time, they actually wrote it into a storyline. So it was. I've seen
I
the
fell in,
video of one of the promos. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. But
yeah, I
yeah,
fell in love with independent wrestling when I was about 6 or 7 years old, and my dad, again, the one who introduced me to independent wrestling, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we can go to a show at a local venue, a high school, whatever it might be, and I can still see some names occasionally that I've been watching on TV. Like, what is this?
yeah,
And then, so like, I kind of carried that love of independent wrestling from such an early age, and I try to apply it to, well, between John Bullard, Sean Porter, and myself. I try to incorporate at least that part of myself into what I'm doing with Flow with them as well.
yeah.
Because I'm like, I want to introduce kids who've never seen wrestling before, and like show them, be like, hey, there's this whole new world. Like you might have seen this person on TV or whatever, but like, this kid right here, this is gonna be the next big star. And then you're like, oh my gosh, and I follow that kid and see where he goes, or what have you. And independent wrestling, just the wrestling business as a whole, saved my life. It saved my
Oh,
life multiple times, and it still saves me. Um,
oh yeah. No,
but
I've definitely
my,
been in the same situation
but
with.
my favorite independent of all time, as mentioned by Peapod on an earlier episode, was Shikara.
Mm,
So, again, like when we were discussing flow things, and I'm like, oh my God, Shikara 2.0. And I don't want to think of it as Shikara 2.0, but more
yeah,
more of the spiritual successor to
yeah.
Shikara.
There's some similarities.
Yeah, there's a few. There's a few. Oh, and don't worry, we got some surprises coming up this season too. So
Oh yeah, no, but I've been informed of a few of them. One of them, well, at least one of them is actually going to be announced on, well, as of recording, tomorrow's episode of the podcast with Mr. Bullard himself. So that's going to be fun. I
Yeah,
remember.
if you guys aren't following Flow, just
Oh,
season 2 is going to blow your mind.
oh yeah. Heck, they've already announced another one of the partnerships with when in the UK. Like just today announced that, and I'm like, oh dang, this is
Yeah,
getting
so
big.
and so that's not the only school we're partnered with. It's our first school in the UK that we're partnered with. Um, but definitely not the first. So let me just make sure I get all my information right because I don't want to mispronounce something. I
No,
don't want to beat brother. Uh,
yeah.
I mean, please don't come to Green Bay and beat me up. Yeah, so the Marty Jones Squared Circle Wrestling Academy in the UK. Anybody who's an old timer like Mo, myself, might recognize the name. He's trained a lot of guys who've gone on to do a lot of big things in this business. Um, and then we are still partnered with our other school out of Ohio, I believe. My memory sucks. I'm sorry, guys.
No, trust me, my memory sometimes people will ask me about something that happened like a couple months ago, and I'm like, damn it, I have a hard enough time remembering what I had for lunch some days. You think I'm gonna remember something from a couple months ago?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, I could barely remember what I did today for work. My day just ended 3 hours ago. But no, but honestly, hey, if anybody wants to like, tell me, hey, your memory sucks. Okay, you can do that. April 5th, Lowport, Indiana, Quest for the Dragon Belts.
Ah,
Ah,
yes, April
ah.
5th. Yes, got to plug that in.
Yep,
But
Skull and Bones, professional wrestling and fitness out of Toledo.
ah,
Thank
yes.
God I save everything.
Yeah, and you know, it's going to be some big, the season debut coming up, like we said, April 5th. As of recording, it's this
This Saturday. Yep.
Saturday. And I guess what got you involved with the promotion? Because I can tell you for me, I remember seeing some of the posts about, the different partnerships they were having. And I'm like, huh. And I messaged him. I'm like, have you thought about a podcast partner? And then here I am.
So I was working for another wrestling promotion, and again, I won't name them because I don't want to give them attention.
Yeah.
Um, there was a massive falling out, and this was right before Christmas. And like myself and my fiance, her girlfriend, like we are just like we just got to get out of town. So we went to Gatlinburg. We took a Christmas trip to Gatlinburg, and so everything happened while I was down there, and I was so depressed and so down. I was considering leaving the wrestling business altogether and just being done with it. Just like I'll take my place back on the other side of the barricade. I'll just be a fan. Which there's nothing wrong with just being a fan.
Oh, not at all.
But
Yeah.
John called me at 1 in the morning, and he was like, "Hey man, like what's up? Like let's talk about this. Let's try to figure it out." And then he presented me with the idea about joining him in a venture for chaotic combat wrestling. And it was very deathmatch heavy, real gritty, real like in your face stuff.
Yeah.
But long story short, certain things transpired that were outside of our control. And so that never came to fruition. So essentially, like he and Sean Porter had discussed starting Flow. And Sean Porter had this idea. He was like, we we should have our own thing, but like it should be a league. It should be a fantastic league. And Sean has actually gone on record of like on another podcast, like telling the whole story of how he came up with the Fantastic League of Wrestling. And I was talking to John about it, and I showed up at a show in Monticello, Indiana, at the Indiana Beach amusement park and water park, which we will be back at twice this year. Um, and I was just talking to him at the show, and he was like, "Hey, I know the other thing didn't come to fruition, but we'd love to have you if you're still interested. And I'm like, after watching that show, and I'm like, hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. And then just kind of took it and ran with it after that.
Yeah, that is awesome. I know he told me about the sorry, leaning down here to get the passy in my son's mouth because he gets a little fussy, and then I'm like, it only works if you keep the passy in there. But
Yeah.
he told me about that show, and the thing that really got me wowed was he mentioned about asking the crowd for out of all of them who was at their first wrestling show.
Yeah.
And he mentioned all the hands that came up, and I'm like, dude, that is cool because
Yeah. When Christian Baraha, our ring announcer, like as soon as he asked that question, I honestly, like, I was sitting at the commentary table with Peapod, and I was like, I was not expecting the response that he had gotten from the crowd. It was probably a good, 65, maybe 70%. Just all these hands went up, and I'm like, we got something, fellas. We got something.
oh
And
yeah,
then he's like, well, how many people plan on coming back? Every single hand went up. I'm like, all right, we're cooking with gas.
oh yeah, man. He mentioned that because it often is said about pro wrestling is all about moments.
It
That's a
is.
big thing. It's about moments, and you give, especially people that is their first taste of it. Man, you can get them hooked right off the bat.
Yeah.
That
And
sounds like you definitely did.
it's about the moments and allowing people to suspend their disbelief
Mm.
and giving them an outlet to be themselves. Like someone they don't like, please boo them as loud as you want. Somebody you like, you could be as loud as you want for them too. Like just come as you are, be who you are. Just don't be that guy that yells the whole twist thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that got overused really damn quick.
it did. It did.
Like I'll admit, yeah, I've been one that has yelled that out, but anymore, it's like, oh God, you
Yeah, so
when it comes.
when I work on shows in Milwaukee, so on top of I just started my own podcast, on top of being a commentator, I'm also a ring announcer myself too. So I've ring announced in Milwaukee, and I can tell you there was one show last year. I was standing in the ring and I'm going through my introductions, like just the introductions, like match had not started. I heard six of them in the course of 30 seconds. Like,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, when you're going through the match introductions, that it's like I remember I used to work with kids with behavior issues, and there'd be the kids that would try to be funny, and I remember having to talk with more than one of them. It's like, man, comedy is all about knowing your timing, knowing your audience, and
Time and place, read the room.
oh, totally. And for some they got it, others didn't. But hey, that's whatever. But man, I know much like you, wrestling has definitely provided me a lot of great things during times where, yeah, probably weren't the best for me personally. And I remember, I think I saw, speaking of Peapod, shout out to Peapod, I saw a post about a picture of him with Kevin Gill. And I'm like, I saw that, and I've had them both on, and I'm just like, I remember one time with Kevin Gill, it was one of the first wrestling shows that I watched after everything happened with my wife and I losing our twin girls. And that was like the first show I watched. Like for a while I didn't really watch any wrestling at all. And then I mentioned, like, I tweeted at him during the show and just said, man, thanks for giving me a little bit of a break from. And he actually mentioned that in the show. So I was like, oh, dude.
Yeah, my mantra has always been pro wrestling is for everybody and pro
Mm,
wrestling saves. And when there's nothing else in your life going right, professional wrestling will always be there for you, no
Oh
matter
yeah.
what. And I'm living proof. Pro wrestling saved me multiple times. And
Oh
like
yeah.
I said before, it continues to save me. And it scares the shit out of me to think of where I would be without it.
Mm.
But it's given me everything. And I'm going to continue to try and work as long and as hard as I can to even give back 10% of what
Oh
it's given back to me. And I know that it is impossible for me to
yeah.
give back everything it's given to me.
Oh
But
yeah.
honestly, like, especially with Flow, like, with these new kids and these new fans and people, paying more attention to our product. And, if we could, you know, our product, our shows, our content reaches even just one person and helps them come out of a bad situation, then, brother, we've made it.
Oh yeah. Nope, I am definitely right in there with you. I know that it would be damn near impossible for me to give back everything that wrestling has given to me. But if I can, like, just like you, if I can just reach that one person, like I've had people recognize me at the zoo. Like I was literally at the zoo with my family and somebody was like, "Hey," and I'm like, and then my wife was like, "What was that all about?" And then the grin on my parents' face when they heard that it was because they recognized me from my show. It was like a smile. Like I've had a couple times where I've had those sense of validations. That was one of them. And then you brought up the death match scene. I've had one of my favorites on twice. John Wayne Murdoch.
Oh, yes, I do love me some John Wayne Murdoch.
And he told me on the last episode that I had him on that he doesn't do many podcasts anymore, but he'll do mine. And I was just like,
Oh,
dude,
there's a reason for it.
then that when I hear stuff like that, that just means a lot because
Yeah, so
I've been I've been
what's
known
always
to
got
be. Oh,
what's
go ahead.
gotten me is like after I bring out certain shows or like even like done commentary on certain shows, like I've had, like 6 and 7 year old kids come up to me with like, a show flyer or whatever, and they're like, "Can you sign this for me?" And I'm like, "I'm just talking." But
Yeah.
I'm like, "Holy crap!"
Oh,
And like my fiance has been like my biggest supporter on everything, and there's no bigger critic of me than me. Like
oh
I'm the
yeah.
hardest person on myself. I'm my own worst enemy at times. And she's
Oh
like, "You did so well. You did so good. You killed it. You knocked it out of the park." And I'm like, but I didn't like the way I said this. I don't like the way I pronounced that. Blah 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 blah. She's like, "Just stop it.
yeah.
Just stop it. Like it shouldn't be that stressful."
Yeah.
Like,
Nope. I've definitely done that.
I mean,
And
but
oh,
she's been like the biggest part of at least the past 2 years of everything that I've done and built up and like the successes that I've had has been because of her. But then it's also been, with guys like John Bullard and he called me a florist because I'm about to hang down some flowers. I'm sorry. But John, he's like, I don't see him as a business partner. I don't see him as a friend. I see him as a brother. Like John is the guy who I know if I'm going through something personally, I could pick up the phone anytime, day or night. I can call him, say, "Hey man, I just need to talk to someone," and he's there. Sean Porter, another guy. Both he and John work so damn hard to make Flow the best possible place it could be for fans, for talent, for everybody involved. And the three of us all share the same mentality. And it's so freaking refreshing that the three of us have the same idea, the same vision, the same thoughts. Like we can pretty much dictate what the other person's thinking at times too. And it's amazing. Or like
oh
Peapod,
yeah.
world class commentator. I don't care what anybody says. Peapod,
Oh yeah.
no, I mean it too.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. I'm with you.
And a one hell of a human being, one of the greatest humans I've ever met. And you know, Ethan Hubbard as well with Divine, our other partner. Ethan is doing amazing work with Divine, and you could tell that he's really pouring his soul, his heart, everything he has into the Divine product as well. And I mean, honestly, like all of us together as a team, we're unstoppable. You
No,
know,
yeah.
and then we've got, like our ref crews, like our Josh Patterson or Jana Pride, or Tango Jones, like, and then all of, the rest of our roster. Like, we don't have drama in our locker room. We don't have arguments or disagreements or, brother, there's a brother. Like, no, like we all come together for the same common goal. We all have the same vision and the same dream, and we make it work and we make it happen. Like, we don't have $1 million budgets. Like, we don't have, these huge names that come in every single show, because you know what? We don't need them.
Yeah. You guys definitely got a great group there, which I'm excited to even have a small part in everything. Is there's like I have always, I've always thought that, if I can get a name like John Wayne Murdoch, or, somebody that's on national TV, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to pass it up. But if I can shed some light on some great young talent that, you know, outside of their general area might not necessarily get too
Yeah.
far outside of it.
Yeah. And that's not to say we won't have any big names at Flow, but we
Oh, yeah.
definitely don't need them every show. Like,
Yeah. No.
and and like I was saying before, like I've been around a lot of guys and a lot of girls who I like. There was a few guys I was shaking the first time I met them. Like, fun story, Matt Tremont.
Mm.
First time I met Matt, I was scared shitless, because I'm like, if I piss this guy off, I know what he's capable of. But honestly, one of the biggest sweethearts you'll find.
I've
He's amazing.
I've heard a lot of that about him, and I mean, I know H2O is on a little bit of a hiatus right now.
Yeah.
They're moving states, but out, in the New Jersey side of it, there was a point where, I don't know too many of that roster that I didn't have on. So like H2O and his promotion, I got nothing but great things to say about them. And Tremont is one of the, I know that I've had a bucket list of like names that I wanted to have on. Tremont's one of the few that I haven't notched off yet.
I tell you, there's if you haven't had a chance to talk to them ever at any point, um, Jeff Cannonball
Mm.
and his wife Tara Calloway, amazing human beings, great people.
No, yeah, I might have to do that. But going back to some of the Fantastic League Wrestling stuff, some of the international partners that are going to be working with some of the uh, great young talent coming out of there. I know I've already interviewed one of these, but there's two that are going to be going on excursion to Japan.
Yep,
One
Gran
of the
Torino and Zach Abstract.
Yes, I've had Gran Torino on, and I'm actually with the Mr. Abstract there. I'm actually, as of this recording, the day after tomorrow, recording with him.
I'll tell you guys right now, if you guys are not following Gran Torino and Zach Abstract, what are you doing with your life? These two guys, they're gonna go places, and they're gonna be something big in this business one day. Mark my words. Last
Oh,
person I said that about, MJF.
mhm.
That's not something I throw around lightly. I met MJF a few times while I was working for a few local wrestling promotions around New Jersey, and like I was like, oh my God, this guy's got it. He's 5 tool player. This guy's it.
No, yep, he's definitely one of those when he gets in. He's definitely better as a heel. I'll just say that. But man, when it comes to heel work, there is not too many people around today that they stick with that pretty much. It seems like give me a second here, anytime they're out in public. MJF is like, whenever you meet him, it's it's where some people sometimes they're in character, they're out of character or whatever, but it's almost like okay,
But what MJF, what you see is what you get.
definitely
I'm,
that's where
I'm,
I was trying to lead
I'm
off
sorry,
with.
Max, you're an asshole.
And you know what? He'd be proud to admit it.
Exactly.
Man, I've never got to meet him, but I've got to see him live once or twice. I believe only once because I've only my one thing with AEW. I love them, but they've literally only up until it took them up until like the last year to even get up to Omaha, the
Yeah.
Omaha area, and the only other time the closest they came was Kansas City, and that's like 2.5 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. So like when AEW comes to Chicago for me, I live in Green Bay. Chicago is about 3 to 3.5 hours, depending on traffic. If you go down on a Saturday, probably five.
Mhm.
But they come to like they were just in Milwaukee, and Milwaukee for me is about an hour and a half. Um, Unfortunately, I couldn't make that show because I was trying to stack those bills for Flow, like
Mm.
I don't want to be like, hell, hey, let me go to AEW, blow a bunch of money. Like, no, that's money I would much rather save to make sure to, our roster and everybody else is taken care of. But
No,
speaking of our roster, another person
mm.
who deserves some flowers and somebody's, Kenny Nine, another guy.
Ah, yes.
If you guys aren't following Kenny Nine, he has been a massive flag bearer for Flow. He embodies everything that we're working towards and everything that we believe in. Kenny Nine is it.
Mm.
Same with Trash Panda. If
I,
you guys haven't seen anything from Trash Panda, look him up online. I promise you, he is one of the top people out here right now, and another name that's going to be going places.
oh yeah. Another name that I mean, I'll admit before I got introduced to Fantastic League of Wrestling, I might not have been as familiar with them, but everything that I've seen since and everything I've heard about him since, I'm excited. Berto and Hippo.
I freaking love Birdo and Hippo. Like, and the kids in attendance love him too, because it's like I know Peapod has mentioned it before, he's an imaginary friend come to life, and it is 100% the truth. Like he is that lovable guy to where it's like anybody can come up to him at any time, but like when that bell rings and he can turn it on, he's as tough as they come.
Oh yeah, I've loved that, and I I forget if it was Peapod or Mr. Bullard that told me about that got me like loving him even more. And my wife and I used to help out with a bulldog rescue that you know I got told about. He did a charity show to raise money to turn what was a kill shelter into a non-kill shelter. I'm like, dude, you just made an even bigger fan of him out of me than I already was. It
Yeah,
was like, yeah,
we
I'm
need
not.
more of that in this world.
Oh God, more good, genuine people like that in this world for
Yeah.
sure.
Another company I do work for, that I ring announce for is Battle Tested Pro Wrestling, based out of the Milwaukee area. Ben Evenson and his wife Kat, they're the bookers and the promoter down there, and they do a lot of work for pit bull rescues and stuff like that. Fantastic people, like just
Nice.
absolutely fantastic people. And yeah, no, like we really need more people in this world who really want to help do more good things for the community to give back. And
For
honestly,
sure.
like I've always been about that. I know John has been all about that. Sean's been about that. Like I wanted to surround myself with good people. And I feel like I didn't just surround myself with good people, I surrounded myself with the best people. Like
Oh yeah,
people who I consider like you don't have to be blood to be family, and
very
I feel
true.
like now I've surrounded myself with family.
Oh yeah, no, definitely like was great group of people there that I'm considering myself very lucky to even be a small part. Now,
Well,
we
the
did
feeling is mutual. We're lucky to have you, working with us as well. So,
it's been a pleasure so far. I look forward to more. Now, this new podcast of yours, I remember we talked a little bit yesterday about it. And I'm like, dude, I'm loving this. Where did the idea come from to start it?
okay. So, I literally just dropped the trailer for it yesterday, posted it up on Spotify and wherever else you hear your podcast. It's something I've been wanting to do for the longest time, honestly, because I feel like that there's a lot of unheard of talent, just not in the Midwest, but just nationwide and internationally.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, there's like I've got friends in the UK who are like, "Hey, have you heard of this guy? There's a Scott Jones that wrestles in the UK." I'm like, "Oh, I should book him here so we could wrestle, and winner gets the name." Like,
Yeah.
um, but I want to be able to like share stories with other people who've been in the business for quite a while, like I have, road stories, all that stuff. Like, because Lord knows we have been through some stuff with ribs or this unfortunate incident or what have you.
Yeah.
But I also want to spotlight some of these unheard talent and kind of give them a platform to kind of be heard and to kind of get themselves over a little bit, if you will. Um,
Yeah.
but the name of the podcast is the Bearded Wrestling Chronicles. Obviously, the beard. Um,
Yeah.
but like the idea really started to like really like burn into my skull in November. I was in Everett, Washington, which is about 20 minutes north of Seattle. And it was my first ever beard competition, the National Beard and Mustache Championship. So I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to jump head first in and I'm going to find the
Uh,
biggest one on the land. I didn't win, but I did very, very well. Um,
awesome.
so in my category, I finished fourth.
Hey.
I beat a guy who looked like Gandalf. Like he had the whole outfit, seriously, staff, crystal, everything. I'm like, if I could beat that guy, oh my gosh. But I was thinking about it, I'm like, I could tell stories, I could bring people on, have people introduced to a wider audience, but then also bring along, onto the show people who I've met like in my professional wrestling career, just be like, hey man, you just want to come on, shoot the breeze a little bit, just kind of see where things go. Like I don't have a format for it. This is all like improv stuff off the top of my head, like whatever happens,
Yeah.
happens.
Oh yeah. No, I like me myself. I have my notes, but literally, if somebody's story takes us on a little bit of a tangent, I'm like, yeah, screw it. Let's just go with it.
That was exactly what I was thinking. Because I mean, you never know where some of these conversations are going to go. It's like one minute you're talking about a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and the next minute you're talking about like, oh yeah, well this one time at a Bucky's, like.
Yep. Oh man. And oh
By the way,
god.
Bucky's, if you ever want to sponsor the Fantastic League of Wrestling, my email address is Scotty, DNTKNOW 2015 at gmail.com.
That would be awesome. Man. Yeah, oh god, now you got me. Speaking of tangents, you got me thinking about pranks because good Lord knows I've been known to play a few, and it's always funny to me that some people underestimate me and don't really think of me when they think of somebody that would pull pranks on people. Like, oh god, the classic, you have those uh extendable spouts off of the kitchen sinks that like
Yeah.
I've done where I clear tape around, hold the handle down to where somebody's, and like at my parents' house, the living room couch has a clear view of the sink. So there'd be times I see somebody go over there and I'd like, and then and I'm like, oh yes.
I'd say probably one of the funniest ribs that's ever been pulled on me that I've been victim of. I was 18. I was getting ready for a match. It was like 45, maybe 30 minutes before my match. I'm like, I'm going to go get changed. Rookie mistake. I should have gotten changed a lot sooner before then, but I was busy, doing stupid stuff, just talking
Yeah.
to people, not paying attention at a time, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Somebody stole my gear,
Oh
but
shit.
they replaced it with a pair of tights that made it look like I was wearing assless chaps. And then they changed my music.
Oh God.
So I made my entrance in assless chaps to Bye 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 by NSYNC.
Ha!
Um,
That's funny.
yeah, it's still, they got me.
Oh,
They got me. I still laugh
my
at them.
my favorite one that I ever did, like I'm sure somebody from back then has probably heard one of my episodes where I talked about this, so they probably know now. But in the Navy, every military, every uniform has a cover, a hat, whatever. Well, in my Navy A school, the uniform of the day, that one was an adjustable ball cap. Well, in class, we were in a break. Nobody paying attention to me. So I'm like, let's see what I can get away with. So I was literally in one of those rolly chairs. I went around to everybody and switched everybody's hat sizes to where it obviously wasn't going to be theirs.
Oh my Lord.
Too big,
Evil.
too big, too small, whatever. We get to the end of the day, words are hard, and everybody's going to put theirs on, and everybody's like, "What the fuck?" And like, that happened back in 2009, and as far as I'm aware, like I said, somebody within the last couple of years has probably heard the story from back then, but it was a good over a decade before probably anybody figured out it was me that did it.
God, that's just pure evil. We had a guy when I was in my advanced individual training when I was in the Army. I was at Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri, aka Fort Lost in the Woods. And this is when they were just making the transition from the old school BDUs to the newer ACUs to have the Velcro patches. And this guy went through to everybody's stuff and switched everything.
No.
So like the name and the Army patches were on the wrong side. About half the people didn't catch on to it. So
Oh,
people were on their faces doing push-ups and getting screamed at. And this guy's in the back like, and I think eventually he was caught and we handled it in our own way.
yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll put it like that. We'll put it like
Yeah.
that.
It's amazing what you can do with a blanket and a sock.
Oh God, I've done other stuff like on my ship. There was this book that we put random jokes in to break up the monotony of some of the, like, my watch on when we were underway was more often than not right before midnight to right after breakfast started. And so it would be a whole lot of nothing. Nothing ever happened during that time. So nobody paying attention to me. I took the book and hid it up above some of the piping.
Oh God.
And people would be like looking for it. And like, I don't know what the fuck happened to it. Somebody eventually, when the lights were on, ended up finding it.
Now, I did Navy ROTC in high school, and people are like, "Oh yeah, he's going to join the Navy," and then I joined the Army instead. I guess I was doing an opposites thing or something. But
Yeah.
when I was in ROTC, they took us to Sub Base Banger, right outside Seattle, and this is at the time I was attending Marysville Pilchuck High School in Marysville, Washington, which is about 35 minutes north of Seattle, and I got kicked off the sub base. They took us to the USS Michigan. It's a Trident class submarine.
Yeah.
They made the mistake of taking a bunch of stupid teenagers into a torpedo room. And they're like,
no.
don't touch these, don't touch these, don't touch these. They were like very adamant, like, you touch these, you're gone, like, no coming back. Well, I didn't just touch it, I sat on it.
Oh, jeez.
And I had a chief petty officer. What are you thinking? I'm like, I want to feel the power between my legs. He's like, get the hell off this boat now.
Oh man, I'm surprised that seeing like being on a submarine didn't scare you away from the Navy because Lord no, I know some of my friends that worked on subs and they took me on one time. I was like, damn it, I'm glad I never got put on one of these.
I would have loved to be on a sub. I think that would be freaking amazing. But luckily for me, the torpedoes weren't live, so like
Mm,
yeah. I mean, obviously, like they're in port, they're not, um,
yeah.
but still, I was young and dumb. Now I'm just old and dumb.
All right. Oh, my like I mentioned, I have my son here and he's having one of his awake moments where sometimes he just likes to be awake and make a whole bunch of noise. All right. So I have two categories here. One's first one, name game. I name awesome people. You give me quick thoughts on them. And I try to theme it towards the guests as much as possible. And you know what? I thought this one would be fun. I went through and thought of some of the people that I think of when I think of some of the best beards in wrestling.
Oh my God. Okay.
All right. First one,
It's
I've
funny
actually,
because I joke with people and tell people I have the greatest beard in independent professional wrestling, but I mean, let's be honest, I'm nowhere close.
there's some good ones out there.
Well, according to John Bullard, Hardway Heater is my long lost twin brother.
Mm. So the first one on this list of mine here, I've actually had some interaction with them on. I'm not calling it X. I refuse to call it that. I'm calling it Twitter.
Will
But
always be Twitter.
oh, always. But I've had some interaction with both of these guys. One of my favorite. I love tag team wrestling. These guys are some of my favorites right now, and I'm glad they're going back by this name, the War Raiders.
Oh yeah, Eric and Ivar. Oh my gosh. Um, I love tag team wrestling as well. And tag team wrestling for me is my favorite form of professional wrestling. Um, I've been kind of on a show that they were on the Independents like way back in the day, but didn't actually get a chance to interact with them, which um, I regret till this day. But Eric and Ivar they're one of my favorite tag teams right now on this planet.
Oh, without a doubt for me too. Now, next up, a guy that when I got two little stories with this guy. I've been told when I worked with kids with behavior issues, somebody said I had a beard that looked like this guy, and I'm like, well, I'm a fan of him, so I'm not going to complain about that. But you know what? I'll just go and I'll tell the rest of the story after I mention this guy, the late great Bray Wyatt.
So Bray Wyatt I mean, he was revolutionary. He was an innovator. Like he took ideas that nobody else knew what to do with, and he turned it into gold. I mean, or as we say, he turned chicken shit into chicken salad. He said before himself, he was the color red in a world of black and white. And when Bray passed away, I cried pretty hard for a few hours. It was heartbreaking. It still is. And
Oh yeah, no,
yeah,
I definitely can relate to that because like so close in age to the both of us. I was like when I heard what happened, I was just like, oh my god,
Bray Wyatt was only 2 months older than me.
man.
It goes to show that life is precious and life is valuable, and
Oh yeah,
really embrace each day and love each day, and
oh yeah,
do everything you can while you can, because tomorrow's not guaranteed.
oh yeah, most definitely. And well, the kid that said that I had a Bray Wyatt beard, I'm like, hey, cool, I'm a fan of the guy. But
You're
my
like, hell yeah, thank you.
yeah, but my other one, and you know what? Another. Let me get. Hey, yeah, you're. This is what happens when you're recording. and have to end up watching after your son.
But I'll tell you a quick story though.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
The only member of the Wyatt family that I've actually physically met was Rowan.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, he was at ACW wrestling con here in
oh
Oshkosh,
yeah.
Wisconsin. And when I stood next to him for a photo, I felt like an infant. Okay, I'm 6'3", 240 pounds, and he made me feel that tiny. Like he's just a mountain of a man. But no, I mean, but
Oh
super, super kind human though. He was so great.
oh yeah. I've heard lots of great stuff about him, and what my story with a short little interaction, not really with Bray Wyatt, but I had at the time I didn't know a friend of his on my podcast, former Ring of Honor 6-man tag champ Dutch, another
Wow.
great beard in wrestling. But
Yeah, the Dutch is severely underrated.
oh totally. But I forget if it was I had just posted about having recorded with him or whether it was, I actually posted about having released the episode. But I remember being on my way home from work, and all of a sudden I get this Twitter alert. I didn't recognize the picture, so I was like, well, okay, I get to a stoplight, I'll check. I get to a stoplight, and I about drop my phone because it was Bray Wyatt liking that post.
Brother, what?
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
literally messaged Dutch like right after. I'm like, are you're friends with Bray Wyatt? And he's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, that explains so much right now.
I would have had to pull into the local department store and I'd have to change my pants.
Yeah, like I said, I about dropped my damn phone.
Yeah, can of Febreze, new pants, probably socks and shoes. Yeah, the whole nine.
Oh yeah. No, I was definitely about there. So I was like, holy moly. That was something like I'm
Holy moly.
I like it. All right. On to the next one. Speaking of, well, kind of Wyatt family related here, as my son likes to laugh at the sound of my voice. Braun Strowman.
Okay, so actually I lied because I just met Braun Strowman a couple weeks ago. I
I
can't
think I
believe I
saw the
remember
picture.
that till just now. Yeah, I posted it on Facebook, and yeah, another person who made me feel like I was tiny. And he actually, like, when I was like, "Hey, Braun, can I get a photo?" He turned around, and he was like, "Great beard, yeah." He took a picture, and just like walked away, and I'm like, "Oh my God, he likes my beard."
Oh man, yeah. Like god dang that. I oh god. I would only think that if I ever got to meet him and get a picture with him that I'd feel like a oh god, trying to think of the term that wouldn't piss people off. Little person.
Yeah, his arms were as big as my legs.
I know a guy here on the local independent scene that I've joked about it, but I mean literally his arms are about the size of my thighs.
You know,
Yeah.
the thing too is like August 3rd, 2022, I had gastric bypass surgery and I weighed well over 500 pounds. So, like, I was wrestling for a long time as a big guy.
Yeah.
Um, After I had that surgery, I actually was training at ACW with Swoggle
Oh,
here in
okay.
Oshkosh. And I tell you what, for a little person, he's
Let me
he's
pause
strong as
real quick.
shit.
Let me pause real quick. All right. Well, first time actually being seen on camera during my son. So you were saying the story with Braun Strowman.
Yeah, so he a very brief interaction, super, super nice, super, super approachable. Like anybody who wanted a photo with him, he took it. It was during a shall I say, a beer promotional thing, which I thought was a meet and greet for a certain someone that turned into a political rally, which I was not for. I was just like, I just came here to like say hi, get a picture and an autograph, and then like, kick rocks.
Yeah.
Um, but when they say never meet your heroes, Bill, this is the second time I've met him. First time was okay. It wasn't political or anything, but it was kind of annoying, being 2 hours late, leaving early, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Total opposite. And I'm just like, can I just scratch this name off a list? But anywho,
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Just getting over my allergies kicking my ass. Last but not least here, one of my personal all-time favorites, Bruiser Brody.
Bruiser Brody, honestly, when I started making the decision of getting into the professional wrestling business myself, Bruiser Brody is the reason why I wanted to do it. Bruiser Brody is on my list of heroes and icons, he's at the top of the list. Bruiser
Yeah.
Brody, Stan Hansen, like those guys, like the guys who like they'll stomp the living shit out of you, and they're not afraid to do it with a smile on their face, and just like his energy, his charisma, his athleticism for a big guy. He was incredibly athletic. Like he
Yeah.
was doing things that people half his size would have a hard time doing, and he did it with ease.
Oh yeah.
Loved around the world for just being just crazy, from Puerto Rico to Japan. Like he was just his
No.
set of the ring episode brought me to tears.
Oh yeah. That right there, hands down, one of my favorite episodes of that show. I mean, they've had some good ones, but that one's my absolute favorite.
Yeah,
And
well, I met Tony Atlas right after that episode.
no
Like
kidding.
I went to a Subway to get a sandwich, and I heard his voice, and he was like, I'm like, that sounds like Tony Atlas. And I turned around, I'm like,
You know it
holy shit,
is.
it is Tony Atlas. He was doing a meet and greet at Subway. I'm
No
like,
kidding.
what the hell? I've got the picture of it. I'll have to send it to you after we're all
Oh,
said and done here. But I'm just like, Jesus, what happened? Like I'm getting a foot long and getting a Tony Atlas autograph. Like, what the hell just happened in my life? Like, just am I being ribbed?
that is funny. Oh man. But yeah, that the friendship he had with Brody, and I just remember growing up, he scared the ever loving shit out of me.
Same here.
But like looking back now, I'm like, dude, this guy's awesome.
Yeah, he was the toughest son of a bitch back in the day. Like nothing could take him out. Nothing could beat him.
No, yeah.
And like, especially like he started, whipping that chain around. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
like really no one's safe. Like, I don't care if you're in the ring or in this, 18th row, like get out of the way.
Oh yeah. And like then getting into, some somewhat more current stuff. Lance Archer's entrances in New Japan, very Bruiser Brody-esque.
Oh yes. Yeah. And honestly, like watching his New Japan stuff, that was the first thing that came to mind. I'm like, he's obviously paying homage to Bruiser Brody, and I love it. I
Oh
really
yeah.
do.
And hell, I've actually got to meet him one time, and one of my signed figures up top where you can't really see him right now. One of the first ones I ever got was one of his.
So I've always wanted to meet him, but just never had the opportunity.
Pretty cool, dude. All right, now I have some random questions, some wrestling related, some not, some nothing to do with anything we've talked about.
All right, I'm ready.
First one, craziest in-match moment for you, that either one that you've been in or one that you were there to witness being on, ring announcing or commentary duty.
Okay, so I've watched Swoggle Samoan drop Falaba.
Okay, that was fit.
That was a moment. Um, I have watched other people crap their pants in the middle of a ring, in the middle of a match.
That would fit.
And of course, the drunken idiots who think, oh, I can get in the ring, I can whoop this guy's ass. Like, the last time it happened, I was ring announcing. And this
Oh,
guy thought he was like, oh, well, while he's doing his introductions, I'm gonna slide on in there. And I'm like, ho, 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 no, you're not. And he got about halfway in the ring, and one of the ring crew guys tackled him, and then like four guys from the back came out and like jumped on him, and um, yeah, so it turned into a brawl. Um,
that would fit.
honestly, trying to get in the ring to try to physically assault somebody during a professional wrestling show is like trying to rob a gun store. You are an idiot. You're never going to win. You're never going to go get away with it. And if you try, you should be banished from any of that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, pretty much. I've I've got to witness my fair share of crazy moments from uh the first ever death match that I got to see live at Sammy Callahan's promotion Revolver between Jake Christ and Joel Bateman, where it ended with them bridging panes of glass onto some folding chairs and then lighting the glass on fire.
So I've worked with Jake Christ, and absolute terrific person.
Oh, nothing but love for that guy. Nothing but love for him.
I did see something similar to that last year for the Insane Eight that ICW puts on in the Milwaukee area every year. There was Orrin Veidt and Bobby V
Oh,
at the top of a scaffold. They had chairs stacked up, panes of glass, all that stuff. And then he, like, Death Valley driver almost Samoan dropped Bobby V off the top of the scaffold through the glass.
oh, oh, oh.
And Bobby's a friend of mine, and I'm just like, oh my God, like I thought he was like severely messed up. Like I'm like, dude, he needs a hospital. Got up and finished the match like he like it was nothing. I'm like, dude, you're indestructible.
Yeah. Oh God. Well, the one that everybody seems to be talking about now that I was actually third row for this one, that John Moxley nail board suplex.
Yeah, that hurts just thinking about it.
My clip of them trying to pull that out of his back is up to 11,000 views on YouTube.
Jesus. Yeah, I mean, I love all forms of wrestling. You know, whether it be deathmatch, traditional, strong
Yeah.
style, lucha, Japanese, whatever.
No, yeah.
And I've seen a lot of deathmatch wrestling. Have it be videos or
Yeah.
in person, what have you. That was one of the more brutal moments I've seen.
Oh God. And like we've seen spots with that type of a board used before, but usually you wonder, like, okay, they're getting suplexes laying right there. They're going to land on the part of the board that doesn't have the nails. But no, he lands right on top of the damn thing.
Well, in deathmatch wrestling, I mean, I know but you're gonna see boards with forks in them, or
Oh
cut up
yeah.
aluminum cans, and I mean, and that seemed like it was nothing
Oh,
compared to that board.
oh God, yeah. No, absolutely nothing compared to that. Like I was sitting close enough that you could literally see the skin like going like, yeah. Yeah, that was probably hands down the craziest moment I've ever witnessed. Okay.
And
I'm
yeah,
here.
and now I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I know I've said I want one death match before I never take a bump again, but I'm like, do I really?
Oh yeah. No, definitely. Ugh. God, I could go over some more, but I want to get into we are still in the midst of WrestleMania season, and everybody, I mean, you've been to a few, lucky bastard. I've yet to attend one, but I have my favorite moments. What is the favorite WrestleMania moment of yours?
Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart from WrestleMania 13. Obviously, it's iconic. It's going
Classic.
into the Hall of Fame. I was there for WrestleMania 19, so seeing Brock Lesnar go up for that shooting star press, that
Yeah.
scared the living crap out of everyone in attendance.
Yeah.
Watching Vince McMahon hit that leg drop on Hogan off a ladder through the commentary table, like, then Roddy Piper making his return with that lead pipe and laying everybody out, like,
No, yeah.
um, but then like WrestleMania 35, seeing the first all women's main event match at WrestleMania, that was special.
Oh, yeah.
Um, didn't leave MetLife Stadium until 1 in the morning, and then it started to rain, and then New Jersey Transit decided, hey, let's not run the trains.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it was stupid. Um, but seriously, all time favorite WrestleMania moment, or shall I say just WrestleMania match in general. And this is what really like sparked my love of wrestling, like really like that first spark that lit the freaking flame
Yeah.
turned into a bonfire was Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage WrestleMania 3.
Nice. That all-time classic right there. Can't deny that. I know me being the massive Stone Cold fan I am, having him, beating HBK at I forget which WrestleMania, but
WrestleMania
him,
15?
I'm wanting to say 15, where Mike Tyson was the special guest
Yeah, in
referee.
Boston at the TD at the Garden. Yeah, I
Yep.
believe that was
That
15.
me being that, currently, the little bit of the match that he had with Kevin Owens recently, where I was like, I'll admit, I was a little nervous because I'm like, knowing the history of the neck issues that he's had, I'm like, oh, does he really need to? But man, that was
I
amazing.
damn near went to that WrestleMania, and I feel like a fool for not going.
Oh man, I would have been all over that. But hell, right now it seems like to afford tickets to WrestleMania, practically have to take out a second fucking mortgage.
Yeah, I was gonna say second mortgage, sell a kidney, I don't know, maybe getting a gun running, something.
Something like that, because good lord, the prices on that crap anymore is just insane.
Yeah, because we were looking at going, because I was trying to get myself booked during WrestleMania week, and I'm like, well, if I do that, I might as well go to WrestleMania, right?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, so like we were looking at two day tickets per person started at $700 and
That
just
is
went from there. Like I think the most expensive 2-day ticket that I saw um was just under $18,000.
Jesus. Yeah, no.
I'm like, that's
See,
that,
it's
that's what
making
I
my
that's what I left that's what I owe on my truck.
hearing the price of that is making my son sad. But man, yeah, no, it is absolutely nuts. Man, allergies kicking my ass. Moving on, I'm not exactly known as a very picky eater, but I do have my foods that I don't like. What is the least favorite food of yours?
Onions, anything with onions. Um, so pull the curtain back a little bit on young Scott here for a second. Um, when I was going through my abuse as a child, one of my stepfather's favorite things was if I didn't like it as a kid, he would hold me down and shove things down my throat. So there's a list of things that I still have a mental block over: onions,
Uh,
potato salad, macaroni salad, tomato sauce with chunky tomatoes, peppers, olives. Just it's not taste or consistency now, but it's just like a mental block about it. When I was a kid, it was all about taste and consistency. I just hated it
yeah,
all. Like I'm the kid that put ketchup on bread and thought it was gourmet. Like, but yeah, like I can't do it.
yeah, no,
And seafood mostly because, well, I'll die.
I know for me, it's still a, more of a consistency thing for me anymore. But my wife literally one time asked me about if something was mixed in with other stuff, if I would still eat it. I'm like, yeah, if it's mixed in with other shit, that's fine. But peas straight by themselves, I can't do it.
But like I love split pea soup, but I can't just be like, oh, I'm just gonna eat peas. Like I
Yeah,
not taste consistency.
yeah. And like a chicken pot pie or something like that, where it's like mixed in with other stuff.
Yeah.
or a casserole of some sort where it's mixed in with the other stuff, it's like, okay, that's fine. I got other stuff to.
Yeah, like if I eat something and people mix in onions, peppers, olives, all the stuff that I named before, if it's mixed in, I still won't touch it. But peas, like put it in a pot pie, I'm fine. Split pea soup, fine. You give me a bowl of peas, I ain't touching it.
Oh, yeah. No, I am that way myself. Now, I have displayed behind me some of my hobbies. I've kind of gotten back into collecting figures and stuff after it was actually after watching some of the major wrestling figure podcast stuff or Ethan Page's vlogs. But a hobby you have.
Oh, I have a lot.
I
I see all your Funko collectibles back there. I also collect Funko collectibles. I'm a former Funko employee. I collect action figures as well. A lot of side music and wrestling memorabilia. My living room is covered in signed stuff on the walls. Like I've got like a one wall, like a signed Cody figure with like a signed band poster and a signed drum head, and then more wrestling autographs, and then another wall's like nothing but Funkos and other signed stuff and like signed vinyl records and all that stuff. I'm also a PC gamer,
mm,
and I thoroughly enjoyed Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and
ah
Dragons. Yes, I'm a
Magic
nerd.
the Gathering. I've been slowly over the last year or so getting into that myself. I got a couple decks that I've built that I'm pretty excited about playing
I'm
whenever I
I'm
get
trying to play Peapod on Saturday, but I think he's scared.
the
Hashtag Pod Fears Scott.
nah.
Shots fired. Pew, pew.
But yeah, I've slowly been. I've kind of had to rebuild my Ninja Turtle collection because I swear I think my parents sold off a bunch of my old stuff. But like the Universal Monster mashups, I have all but two. Splinter as Van Helsing and Donatello as Invisible Man are the only two I do not have.
Well, it's like with Funko. It's like I at one point had every single WWE Funko Pop there was, and then all the New Japan ones. And I mean, granted, there wasn't very many New Japan Funko Pops, but then just when you think you got them all, bam, here's another 50.
Yeah.
And then you spend the next year and a half hunting them down, and then you think you have them all again, bam, here's another
Yep.
50.
There's another handful. Yep. Been there. But yeah, I'm I'm proud of what I got so far.
No, it's impressive.
Oh yeah. I hell, and you mentioned you live in Green Bay, right?
Yes.
I actually got to attend my first game at Lambeau Field a couple years ago.
I live exactly 2 miles away from Lambeau Field.
N-
And the funny thing about, well, it's not really funny, but the NFL draft is in Green Bay this year. My fiance's sister does staffing, and her staffing agency got contacted by the NFL.
No
They
kidding.
want people to work at Lambeau during the NFL draft, delivering mail-in packages to players, general managers, what have you. So I immediately went into my shoot job. I put in for vacation and I said, I'll do it. So I
Mm,
will be running around the bowels and the inner workings of Lambeau Field from April 21st through April 28th.
nice.
Well, except for April 22nd, I have to take an early day because she actually got me tickets for Valentine's Day. She got me a VIP package to see my favorite band in the entire freaking world. She got me a VIP package for them.
Nice.
The band Trivium. They're on
Uh,
tour right now celebrating the 20th anniversary of their Ascendancy album, which is my favorite album of all time. And they're playing with Bullet for My Valentine.
nice.
And so she got herself a VIP package as well. The
Yeah.
last time they were here, I bought two VIP packages and bought every single piece of merchandise they had. I probably spent probably $800 or $900 that night,
Uh,
just between the VIP packages and all the merchandise.
nice.
This will be my 14th time seeing them.
Nice. Yeah, my wife and I have probably seen uh country singer Luke Combs about close to that many times. We
Well,
actually got to meet him in a VIP thing at Arrowhead in Kansas City.
so I respect country music. I respect all music. It's just not for me. I
Oh
feel
no.
I feel like it's like if you played it backwards, they get all the shit back.
Hmm. No, no, and
But again, like I'm not hating on it. Like I do like
yeah,
Jelly Roll and I like Hardy, but
yeah, no,
that's about as close as I get.
but I do want to get to this. My first game, Lambo, one of my collectibles that I have. I wanted to get, I wanted to get a bobblehead. 'Cause I'm like, it was as close to the Funko stuff as they had at Lambo, and I about picked out a current player, but my dad knew that my favorite Packers player of all time, and knew that because I had pointed out his banner up there, but he said, "Oh, well, his is right here, Reggie White bobblehead."
So, admittedly, I'm not a Packers fan. Growing up in Seattle, I've been a lifelong Seahawks fan. But I will tell you this. I find Packers memorabilia like that around here so often, so cheap or whatever. I'll send you a care package. I will gather all the Reggie White stuff I can find and I will send it to you.
Oh man, that would be awesome. But I before we get on to my next question here, you mentioned collecting music, signed music stuff, and I know not a country fan, but this is another example for me of country stuff. There's an outdoor amphitheater venue that my one of my personal favorites, Dirks Bentley, was going to be playing there. So I was like, I want to see how close I could get. So I got there. I was like two people from the stage, and before I know it, he's pointing down at me, and I'm like, no, he ain't pointing at me. He's pointing at somebody beside me. No, before I know it, he's helping the security guys get me over the barricade. And before I know it, I'm literally shotgunning a beer on stage with Dirks Bentley. I still got the can.
Nice. You're like, yeah, he's not pointing at me. He's pointing at the hot blonde behind me.
That was pretty much where I was. But then towards the end of the show, he points back at me and is like, hey, yeah. And then he goes and grabs one of the guitars that somebody from his band was playing, motions for something to write with, and I'm like, no, this is not happening. And well, before I know it, he's walking back down, hands me the guitar after he signed it. I got it hanging up on my wall back there.
Yeah. I don't have any signed guitars, but I do have some. I have signed vinyl records, drum heads, stuff like that. I've got a couple signed drum heads. Um, I actually got one gifted to me for my birthday last year, just randomly showed up in the mail. And I'm like, how the fuck did Adelita Sway get my address? And they actually inscribed it, Happy birthday, Scott, May 21st. I'm like, holy shit. I mean, like, they're on the softer side of stuff that I'll listen to. I listen to a lot of heavier stuff, like Trivium being, my favorite band, but then like Any Given Day is another good, favorite band of mine, or Paleface Swiss. Yeah, I listen to some death metal as well, some old school death metal like Cannibal Corpse, stuff like that. Belushi Speedball, another fantastic band for anybody listening into metal, or pizza core as they like to call it.
Pizza.
Yeah, so they have a song called the Spinelli Slam, and it's there's a whole animated video on YouTube. It's about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes long. It's like don't mosh into the pizza warmer, and then like the video's like a piece of pizza like punching the ground, like moshing out and stuff. It's fantastic.
That is fucking awesome. All right, now with the name of a show like I have, before my son gets a little too cranky, favorite drink, alcoholic or otherwise, because Lord knows, just because it says drinking at Moe's doesn't mean that it has to be alcoholic, because hell, I was drinking Dr. Pepper most of this show.
I mean, I'm slurping on a Mountain Dew right now.
All right.
Mountain Dew is a nectar of the gods as far as I'm concerned.
Hey,
I try not to drink too much alcohol anymore. I'm essentially trying to cut it out altogether. But when I do, you can find me at the bar with either like a vodka Red Bull. I know basic white girl. I know,
Yeah.
or a Jameson.
Okay. Okay. Let me pause this again real quick. Hold it. Little. But no, like I said, I can get it because I've had Jake Christ on. He's you know a recovering addict. He's been no stranger to having that information out there. And then I've had plenty of other people on that straight edge or more recovering addicts that I'm like. That's why I try to be respectful of that because Lord knows there's plenty of people out there that for one reason or another don't drink. So
No, alcohol has always been that thing that I could take it or leave it. I don't need
yeah,
alcohol to have a good time. I don't
oh
need
yeah,
I don't need alcohol to relax. I
yeah,
don't need it to, for any reason. Um, and I essentially I'm giving it up just for, like my overall health and well-being. And,
oh yeah,
I'm not trying to pay these corporations out here, all this money to basically ingest poison. So it's
yeah. No, I can understand that because I mean I consider myself. I've had my time going crazy with it, but anymore more of a social drinker of anything because I'm like, yeah, if I'm at the house by myself, I don't really feel like just
yeah, like
cracking one open.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna sit at home and like just crack open a beer. Like there's been a few times where like I'll mix myself a mixed drink or something like that. And I'll drink like half of it. I'm like, I don't even want the other half.
Yeah.
Like, and then it just goes to waste. If I go out to a bar, I'll have like two or three and then I'm done. I know how to cap myself and I try to be as responsible as possible.
Oh yeah.
But I will
No.
say this for anybody who's listening or watching this, please, 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 if you find yourself at a bar and you're drinking, whether you have one or you have 20, please call a friend, get a cab, get a ride share. Do not drink and drive.
Oh, most definitely. There's no need to put yourself or anybody else in jeopardy there because I think I know I've heard that they've actually had commercials on the radio talking about how, a cab or, you know, Uber, Lyft, whatever, the price for that much cheaper than if you go and get yourself in trouble getting in a wreck because you were driving drunk.
Exactly. And it always scares the crap out of me, and I think about it in terms of this is that if I get behind the wheel of my vehicle and I'm intoxicated and I
Oh,
hit a minivan and I kill a child, God forbid, even if I was to get away with it, I still couldn't live with myself.
yeah.
And
Give
it's
me
just,
one.
it's not smart.
Yeah, give me one. This is what happens when. Okay, come here. Come here. Okay, there we go. Okay, I think we're calm now. But yeah, no, it's that way. I know I've I've not been perfect with it, but I definitely, you know, you have those moments where you know all it takes is one person that'll let me get up
Yeah.
here.
I mean, I'm by no means perfect, and I've done some questionable things behind the wheel of my car in the past, but
Yeah.
it has been many, many, many years since
Oh,
I've even thought about even attempting anything like that.
oh
Um,
yeah.
and all my friends know and people who, acquaintances, whatever, and this is something I'm actually going to be preaching to the flow roster as well on Saturday. If you feel like you need a ride somewhere, I don't care. Call me. It could be
Oh
three in
yeah.
the morning. I'm getting out of bed. I'm putting on shoes. I'm coming to get you.
Oh yeah. No, I definitely got people that I would definitely put it out there for them myself. That it's like, dude, I would much rather you do that and me have to help you the next day go back and get your car than to get a call that something happened and you're not with us anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. And if we can all look out for one another, it makes the world a better place.
Oh,
If we can all be there for one another and lend a hand when we're down, and also help people when they're down as well.
oh
It
yeah.
takes more effort, to point a finger than it does to give a hand.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, all right. Last but not least here, best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling?
Go to your local independent shows. Talk to everybody you can. Talk to the talent booked on that show. If you could track down the promoter, talk to that promoter, offer your help. Hey, I'd love to help set things up. I'd like to help tear things down. Anything I can do to help out, no matter what it is. When you get into wrestling, even now, I mean, we're talking 20 plus years for myself. There isn't anything I wouldn't do. And that's how you have to like really look at it when you're getting in on the ground floor level.
Oh yeah.
For your help for anything and everything, whether it's picking people up and driving people around, it doesn't matter. And then
Oh yeah.
ask the talent on that show, where did you train? Where did you go to school? Find a reputable school and
Yeah.
go. And I know Grant Toreno had said it best himself. Get in the gym and get your body ready, because that first couple of weeks, you are going to get your ass kicked.
Oh yeah.
And that rope burn is no joke.
Oh yeah. I know I took a pro wrestling boot camp once, and funny enough, it was at the hotel that I was the convention center attached to the hotel I was put in the night before I left for Navy boot camp.
Actually, I remember you said that before, and I was actually going to ask you a question about that.
Okay.
So the hotel I was in, so I went to MEPS, and then after MEPS, well, when you go to MEPS the night before, rather, they put you in a hotel, and then they take you over there early in the morning. Did they teach you the preparation H trick?
I don't know.
Where
I don't think they did. No.
you put preparation H on your midsection, and then you have somebody wrap you in cellophane, like
Mm.
just like wrap.
Oh yeah. Yep. No, that did that. Now that you mentioned it that way, yes, that did happen.
So my roommate did that, and this is the first rib ever in my military career. This son of a bitch stripped me down to my boxers while I was cellophane wrapped. He wrapped my arms into my body so I couldn't move,
Oh no.
took my pants off, got me down to my boxers, wrapped my legs together, and left me out in the middle of the hallway.
Oh jeez. Wow. That's my thing with the the wrestling boot camp that I went to was at the time that I was there the night before Navy boot camp was the lobby for what was then the convention center was actually the lobby for the whole hotel the time that I went to Navy boot camp.
Oh, damn.
So I'm walking into that lobby again, and I kid you not, I had a flashback of my backpack leaving out the door, and I'm like, God, no.
Everybody remembers the morning they left for boot camp, the bus ride from the airport to base, and that first moment they stepped on the bus and they're like, get the fuck off.
You know what? Okay, little story before we start wrapping up. I don't know, with getting there, it was weird because
Well, I'm
we get
assuming
on
you
the
went to
bus.
Great Lakes.
Yes.
Okay.
And we get there, and I was expecting that. All those videos of different boot camps where they're going on the bus, get the fuck off my bus now. When that, at least for me, when I got there, when that didn't happen, that almost scared me more. Because I was expecting the videos of that, and when it didn't happen, I'm like,
Because you know it's coming eventually. You just don't know when.
oh God. And it came. We finally got to the compartment, and they said, okay, take advantage of it because you're not going to be getting much sleep the next day or two.
Oh, hell no. Processing sucks.
Oh God, sucks so bad. But I didn't even have all the sheets. Like, for some reason, I tried telling people, they didn't give me all the sheets. Well, whatever. I figured I'll lay down what I got. I get my head down on the pillow, and I swear it wasn't more than 5 minutes. Light on. The RDC is coming in,
Yeah.
and it was like, get the fuck up. I'm like, Oh, okay, here we go.
Oh yeah, I got it straight from the bus. They got on the bus, like there was no calmness about it. Like they started opening that bus door before it even stopped rolling, and they were like, "Get the fuck off my bus now, you scumbag! You're in the army now. You're gonna do what I tell you. Get the fuck off. Drop your bag. Get formation." I'm like, "Oh
Oh
shit."
god. And like you see videos of Navy boot camp over the last few years, and like I see that happening now, and I'm like, where was that when I went there?
Yeah.
It's like they're yelling at them all the way in. They got that long hallway before you make your phone call home. And I'm like,
What
what
time of
is.
year did you go?
I went, it was towards the end of June of '08.
Okay, yeah, so that was about the same time of year I went. My basic was at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Hot as shit, no shade, and they're like, "Guess what we're doing today? We're running." Like, can you kill me now?
Yeah. I I was just thankful that I went there then because I've heard stories about it during the winter and I'm like, yeah, nope.
Yeah, the so actually Great Lakes is about 2.5 hours away from me. So yeah, that it's shit is no joke.
Yeah. And I just remember, yeah, nope. But the thing that makes it even wilder for me was here in Omaha, towards the mid end of June.
So every time I hear you say Omaha, all I can think of is Peyton Manning.
Yeah, we get, but every summer, college baseball, college World Series, and they had me in the hotel. They brought me back to, they bring you to MEPS. They literally couldn't find me a flight out because of all the stuff coming in from the College World Series. So
Oh
I
my
had to
God.
go back to the hotel again. Yeah, it was nuts.
And for anybody wondering, MEPS is the Military Entry Processing Station. That's where you do your physical, they run your background, you sign your contract, your first contract, actually. That's not the only time you'll sign a contract
Yeah.
and get sworn in. And it's a lot of hurry up and wait. And
Oh, yeah.
one of the most disgusting bag lunches you'll ever have in your life.
Oh, God. Totally nasty. I mean, hell, we could probably do a whole nother podcast on military stories.
Oh my God, yeah, fucking green scrambled eggs.
Oh, God. Yeah. Although I will end with this part on this. When I had always heard complaints, boot camp food nasty. When you get to your ship or wherever you're getting stationed, oh, the food will be great.
It's the same shit.
The food on my ship, other than there was a few things that was pretty great, but especially when we were out underway, there were times where it was like supplies were running a little low, and it's almost like they just threw a bunch of shit together and said, "Here, eat it."
Yeah.
But the boot camp food, at least for Great Lakes, was not that bad.
Yeah, the food at Sill wasn't horrible, but when I got to Leonard Wood, it was disgusting. And so they were like, when we finally started getting MREs issued to us, I'm like, oh my God, I'm in heaven. Who wants to sell them? Who wants to sell them? Who? Like, I got a candy bar. I got a 10. Come on.
Nope, I get it there. All right. Well, that is about all I have. But before we go, where can people find you social media wise? So if they don't have their eyes on you and wherever you're going to be, or Fantastic League of Wrestling, they could go ahead and get them there.
So, of course, you could follow the Fantastic League of Wrestling on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. Just search Fantastic League of Wrestling. It'll pop up. You'll see our logo. Good to go there. As far as me, you can find me on Facebook. Just search Scott Jones. I know, super common name. It's like John Smith. I swear to God. If you just type it into the URL box, it's just
Yeah.
facebook.com/flying burrito. Lucky bitch to get that. You can also find me on Instagram at SA_Jones87, or let me just make sure I get the right TikTok name.
Did you know that if you
No, I do share some TikToks at Scott Jones 15.
All right.
And I'm also on Twitter. Gotta plug the Twitter. At holy hell, where is it? At the SA Jones.
All right. We'll get all of that in the description. Looks like my son's telling me it's about time to wrap up. So thank you for taking the time to talk to me tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll definitely have to have you on again anytime. You're welcome back anytime. But I love sharing military stories. So we'll definitely get you back on again.
Oh my God, yes.
Shoot the shit on that. But that is about all I have. Again, thank you. It was an absolute pleasure.
No, thank you. Seriously. And all of us at Flow, we're lucky to have you, partnered with us. And I sincerely hope everybody out there is ready to go with the flow, because 2025 is going to be an absolute fucking banger of a year.
Oh, for sure. All right. The thing with this goddamn button.